You will plead and beg with them to supply you oil. You will do anything at any price. At that point, I have been told, and I just said this days ago, it's the reason I appeared on your show for the first time last week, Alex, with this, I was told that at that point, we will open up 4 major oil fields in America, produced from our own soil, but you will be paying over $200 a barrel for it when it could be produced for $60 a barrel. But at that point, you'll be so destitute in America, you will beg for anything in order to be able to drive to work, and your dollar will be so worthless, and the nations of the world so angry at us, the New World Order will be able to bring in all of that which they already have planned.
And then they will pose as our gracious saviors. And if you go back and read your book from 30 years ago, it was all laid out right there, and now here it is unfolding. The question is, can the globalists complete this operation? Well, while the world is focused on the Charlie Sheen extravaganza that was launched on this show by accident last Thursday, that's the #1 story in the world right now, all over the planet, according to Yahoo, Google, and many other barometers. We're seeing world government launch their takeover operation of the planet. How bizarre that we're in the middle of both major stories tracking the serious situation with Pastor Lindsey Williams and also at the center of the Charlie Sheen situation. It's, well, reality is much stranger than fiction. That certainly is borne out by people who are living in reality and taking action in their daily lives. You can certainly just see how strange this world truly is. Lindsey, for those that haven't done the deep research on all this, I hope they realize that you're not just saying you made these predictions in October. You weren't just saying 3.5 years ago that oil would go from $50 a barrel to $150 in the next few months, and it did. Then you said now it's going to plunge down to $40, and then it did. And then you said you've got 2 years, it's slowly going to go up, and then it's going to explode. I mean, you're not predicting. You have these major globalist sources known to myself and Dr. Stan Monteith and others. Obviously, we can talk about Ken Fromm now because he sadly died of cancer, but we can't get into the other gentleman, the former oil company CEO. But this is a short segment. I wanted to go back in time because in the last 2 interviews, we haven't gotten to the Ken Fromm situation. He was always hiding in plain view. You gave a speech with him when he first went public. He was then fired when your book came out, later rehired. You told the story of the oil company CEO showing up at the back of the audience when he was speaking, when you were there. I mean, this all came out in the early 80s. And this whole 50-year plan we've been on by the globalists. Briefly, break down that Ken Fromm story.
Well, Alex, yeah, I'll be glad to, but there's so many things here right now that I'd love to say. But, okay, back in those days, it was quite obvious. He had told me when the Gull Island find came in that this is what's so significant to right now. And folks, I'm pleading with you, I'm begging with you this morning that you listen to these things. You have never been affected in your lifetime like you're going to be affected the next few weeks' time. The Gull Island find is recorded in my book, Energy Knowing Crisis. If Gull Island doesn't blow your mind, this will. And the day that I watched the largest oil pool on the face of the earth proven and brought in, and within 24 hours, the information was ordered classified, and I asked Mr. Fromm, I said, Ken, why don't you bring this to the American people? Why don't you give us our great American dream? Why don't you let us have soil from our own soil? And he said to me, he said, Chaplain, we are not going to do this. We will not allow this information out. Of course, when my book, Energy Knowing Crisis, came out, they went into orbit. And, of course, later threatened me because of what I'd said. But then they couldn't stop it. It was already out there. And Ken said to me, he said, we will not produce this oil from our own soil until we have crude oil to $150 to $200 a barrel. It looks as though it's going to be $225 a barrel instead of $200 a barrel. They're going to open up 4 major oil fields. I was told this 35 years ago. It was in my book, Energy Knowing Crisis, what Mr. Fromm said. It's recorded. Now, I'm telling you, Oman is in trouble. Saudi Arabia is scheduled for a day of rage on March the 11th. by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes,
They're moving tanks into Bahrain this morning.
Yeah, we covered that, but I want to. The thing is, I just wanted to finish the stories we couldn't get to last time, and I want to be specific because we got a long segment coming up. We're going to break here, Lindsay. I want to finish the Ken Fromm story or anything else you've never told before on air, and we've talked about the Day of Rage coming up. Have you talked to your other Mr. X? That's an important question. Have you talked to him since we talked last Monday? So I'm going to ask you that when we come back after the break, and a lot more with Chaplain Lindsey Williams. Please stay with us, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. We'll be right back. Going back to Lindsey Williams. Lindsey, this is pretty hardcore stuff. You were trying to, well, during the break, I asked you the $64 million question. It's been about a week and a half since you talked to your living Mr. X, even more high-powered than Ken Fromm. And I asked you during the break, I said, have you talked to him again? And you said, yes, but I'm not allowed to tell you what he told me. Well, I mean, why do they even give you this information then? I mean, I know it's real. I know the information's real. But I mean, can you give us any idea what it was on?
Alex, over 35 years since I was on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline and had the privilege of literally being invited to be the chaplain of the world for 3 years' time, or the chaplain of the elite of the world for 3 years' time. There has never been a single time that they ever told me anything that it didn't happen exactly as they said it.
Okay, but why is he telling you stuff now that you can't reveal?
For my own sake, you keep in mind, these people never knew what it was to come in contact with a chaplain before. Many of these people never met a minister of the gospel. I was on the oil field. They were not in my church. And many times they have said to me, chaplain, to protect yourself, you'd better do this and this and this. And this is exactly that. A week ago, or about a week and a half ago, your producer called me on the phone and said, there's anything new? And I said, you better believe there is. And I was willing to say what's going to happen in the Middle East. You see it unfold before your eyes. Now, I know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I think the reason they say it is because of their own conscience, if there is such a thing in the elite of the world. Remember, one of the facets of their code of ethics is that they must tell the world everything they're going to do before they do it. There will be a point at which I can tell some of these things because you will see them happening before your eyes, and I can. Right now, I'm begging and pleading with you to watch Middle East, watch Saudi Arabia.
No, I know, but you're saying he told you something new, but you're not allowed to tell us. You can't give us a hint?
I'm telling you right now, I'm begging of you. The standard currency of the world is crude oil. Watch where you remember. I was given here back about 2 years ago. He said, watch the price of crude oil, and you will know the progression of the program of the elite. What did it happen overnight? You went up 12 cents per gallon at the gas pump here in my area overnight last night. And what you're seeing happen with crude oil tells you where the timeline is. Do you realize that their timeline was the end of 2012, and it appears almost that they are accelerating that timeline? Can't you read between the lines, folks out there in the audience, and realize what this man is telling me?
But if he told you so much, why can't you specifically tell us what he told?
Here's the name of the game is control. And after they basically have gained control of everything worldwide, not just in America, but worldwide, whenever they have, at that point, they begin to bring all of the world under the New World Order out of its mess. And over a period of, I don't know how many years, they've never told me, but over a period of so many years, they will bring the world back to a position where they want it. You will again have a little bit of a dream, more like a surf would, and it will be brought back again under the auspices of the New World Order because the name of the game is control.
Okay, I want to specifically go back. You're saying that's what he told you that was new?
No, I'm not saying that's what he told me.
Well, why can't you tell us what he told you?
For you so that you can see it for yourself, and I cannot give you certain things. I probably will in the future. Remember, I was threatened 2 years ago.
No, I know, Lindsey. We appreciate you.
My whole family. I know what happened to John F. Kennedy. He was the president of the United States of America. I'm just a little peon sitting down here beside my
Okay, so he tells you some stuff you can talk about.
I'm going to risk my life for the sake of something that I'm trying to tell you between the lines right now. You've got to read what the elite are saying by listening to their buzzwords.
All right, now I want to shift gears here into a similar area. Oil prices rise on Mideast Bernanke comments. He says it's going to have little effect on our economy. I mean, how dumb do they think we are? I was just talking to this reporter who's done the Kissinger profile. He just did the Karl Rove profile for New York Mag. He said Karl Rove told him, and it's in the new piece, that, in fact, what's the name of your piece? I haven't read it yet. He's out there. What's the name of your new piece, Joe? Do what? God dang it, baby, we're making good time. That's the name of the new Karl Rove profile piece in New York Magazine. And Karl Rove told him there is no Republican establishment. So now even saying that there's a Republican establishment, like the RNC, says that's a conspiracy theory and it doesn't exist. Now we have Bernanke telling us that we left the recession in June of 2009, a year and a half ago, or more. And now we have him telling us that oil prices going up doesn't affect the economy. I mean, how dumb do they think we are, Lindsay?
They take us to be totally stupid. In fact, I told you 2 years ago that the elite were laughing at the average American. I don't know how to say any more except the fact that there's more of us than there are of them, and the faster you can wake people up, Alex, the quicker we're going to see something happen. Now, I'm quite sure you realize that on Friday night of last week, you were very busy over the weekend. On Friday night of last week, Coast to Coast AM had me on schedule for 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, the audience was so alive, so excited, so exuberant. I mean, they said they had not seen such as this before. They asked me to stay on for a third hour. 3 hours on Coast to Coast AM with 60-something million listeners. I hope I helped to wake up America. You just finished with Barbara Walters. You're trying to wake up America. I'm on your show this morning. I'm pleading with you to read what the elite said to me. And I'm trying to say it every place I can say it. You must listen to what is happening at the gas pump. Because
no, I understand. This is earth-shaking. This is earth-shaking, Lindsay. But so what are the solutions? Warn people about the globalist agenda, so hopefully as they implode the economy, we don't take their solution for more tyranny?
They're going to open up 4 major oil fields. In any one of these oil fields, they can produce oil at $16 per barrel. Folks, I am saying it to you. You've got to hear it. They are going to charge you $200 a barrel for it. They can produce it for $16 a barrel. It could be 60 cents a gallon at the gas pump. Throw out every one of those scoundrels in Washington, D.C. We've got to have some honesty up there that will to give America back its great American dream. It could happen if millions of Americans, and right here over this, your InfoWars Alex Jones show today, this movement could start. I do not want a movement of rebellion. I do not want I don't want people doing what they're doing over there in Libya. That is wrong. But we've got to turn this thing back around again and give us back the great American dream. Stop the elite. Somehow you folks must listen to me. And, Alex, I've got to. Please, bear with me here. Do you want to know everything that's going to happen at the gas pump? Do you want to know everything that's going to happen at the grocery store? Do you want to know where the dollar's going? We started out on Saturday filming a new production entitled The Middle East, The Rest of the Story. I thought we were going to have one DVD. We went to 2 DVDs. The camera crew was sitting there literally mesmerized. The man who was operating the camera, a young man, he said, Chaplain, I've never heard anything like this before. We went 3 hours. We are having a 3-hour presentation. All of you last week who called in to our toll-free service, you're not getting 2 DVDs as you thought you were. You're going to get for the same price 3. You have never heard things like this. The things that were given to me over the weekend, I have put them into this. It'll be the first time it's ever heard before. You'll see them chanting, "To Jerusalem we're headed, martyrs in the millions." All I can say is, Alex, this message has got to get out, and the whole nation has got to make a turnaround. And is the DVD set called with all this? Accomplish their program.
Sure, is this DVD set with all the latest information? It's called The Middle East, The Rest of the Story, prophecyclub.com. When I called you a week and a half ago, you weren't even really planning to do this, and I'm glad that you are codifying all the new information you've been given with the old information in one place. Prophecyclub.com. Lindsay, real fast, fire out the toll-free number for folks that want to get it.
888-799 6111. We increased our operators to 6-888-799-6111. But Alex, I hope you'll allow me to give updates as we're seeing these things happen.
Absolutely, Lindsay. We're out of time, but I want to get you back up again next week as we approach March 11th. And let me say bye to you during the break. I really appreciate you coming on with us. We got Webster Tarpley coming up. I got a bunch of financial news and the latest on TSA molestation. Key information straight ahead.